different resources. Resources differ depending on the state of the organization, for instance. Some organizations are at the basic level, they don't have a strategy plan, they don't have basic structures, some are not even registered. So you identify what resources do you need at that level. So if it is for registration, like the mentioned, there are people who may be willing to support you in the registration process that you don't need to pay for. And if it is maybe activity level, for instance, you want to hold a program like this, you ask yourself, what do you need for a program like this? Number one, you need a hall, you need facilitators, you need people, you know. So these are the resources we are talking about to have an impactful program. I can hold this program without spending $1. This whole program we are doing, I can hold this program, the same impact, and I will not spend a goal. And then I will go to Mom and say, I don't need to go, I don't have money. The man will give me a place. You can go to any church, and they can give you a space to hold your program. Then the issue of collaboration. You can call one or two other organizations and say, can we hold this program together? What do you have? Or what do we need first? Oh, I can bring water. I can bring snacks. Before you know, you already set up the tea break table. So you must first of all identify what are the things you need, what are the resources you need. Number one, at the organizational level. Many organizations are operating without a plan. No plan. Okay? And then organizations that are waiting until they get money before they carry out activities are whiling away, they are wasting time. Because you need this track record. And I want you to take note of that. If you don't have track record of activities that you are even doing something, people may not want to partner with you. So those little things that you do and share information, as little as setting up like an education trust fund within the or within the church, where people just put in small money to support indigent children who cannot pay their school fees. It's something. Alright? So you must first of all do an assessment of what are the things that you need for a particular level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, my response will be about sustainability. I will ask the question. Who asked the question about sustainability? Okay. Thank you very much. I think why today is not for resource mobilization per se. It is an integral part of resource mobilization because we can't be talking about philanthropy without talking about how we sustain it. And this is the thing I'm talking about. If you can snap this banner, it will reflect on how to go about it. And if you look at that bullet point 1, bullet point 4, bullet point 3 speaks to how to sustain whatever initiative. And initiative differs on the size of the organization itself. In some organization, 10 million is a big money. In some organization, 100 million is a small money. Yes. I've worked in an organization before. My boss said, don't write any proposal less than $100,000. Don't waste your time. You see it as waste of time. $100,000 a day is $160 million or $150 something million. In some organization, is a big money. To us, then, you see it as money. So, how do you sustain? You sustain through proper and coordinated structure. What happened after the Archbishop talked about legacy, which is very key in philanthropy. How many of us do know Ford Foundation? Mercedes, MacArthur, John and Catherine, they have gone. But the initiative is we have set up a business that 2% of that profit should be for charity in the name of Catherine and John Foundation. So every business we are doing, we want to pull it back. And let's come to example. Do you want to engage in Hajj and Umrah services, for example? And within your strategic plan, you agree as an organization that proceeds realized from Hajj and Umrah every year, certain percentage will be for our foundation. Or NASFAT may agree and say proceed from, I don't know how they say that last month. You see how it? No more. What happened to it is another discussion for another day. But assuming last month is successfully sustained, because I remember Reverend Kola talk about businesses we can do. And that was the reason I emphasized on localization and need to look inward. If anybody approaches me for anything, I must look inward. What can I get? Then how can I sustain it? It's very key. So, as an organization, you need to have proper sustainability plan as part of your strategic document. That if today I'm not vice chairman of Ansarudeen FCT branch, will that be the end of that association? If the answer is yes, then you need to go back to the table. But the answer is no. How do you want to sustain it? The executive need to be trained and trained. It's very key. Knowledge is very key. Where the religion is going now is beyond the couple we are collecting. So we need to strategize and focus on, there's nothing stop you as an organization, whether you have Part C registration, whether you have Part D registration, to make money that you can put back. And if you are lucky to get donors money, another area you can sustain such initiative is exchange pay. If you have a government that gives you money in dollar, and big dollar today officially is 130 or 1,300, and you are lucky to be allowed to exchange for black market, and you are exchanging at 1,005. It means on every $1 you are saving to 200 naira. 200 naira times the number of dollar you have is an exchange gain to you, and the donor will only ask you, what do you want to do with it? You want to put it back in the organization. That's another way. Or you refocus or you diversify. If today the man said all members of AL-HABIBIYYAH after human prayer take 4 leaves of sourcing and go and do it at home, the man will not know that indirectly is helping people because they are helping, but they have planted it around. It's part of sustainability plan because an healthy person is a wealthy person. So when AL-HABIBIYYAH members are taking forward, you are going to pay for it today. I've taken 2 calls, I've noticed changes. So the way of sustaining depends on the size of the organization. Like Dr. mentioned, we have 2.0 organization. What they have is basic. They have the office, they have a calendar, they have bank account, the organization name, they have 3 signatories. I've worked with an organization where our IT always keep the check in our bank. That is not a system. But it was 10. Nobody practiced that today. So when you have 2.0, you can now graduate to 3, 4. You now develop strategic plan. You are now working towards the strategic plan on how to sustain. Do you want to map some individuals from a sample that you can reach out to, like want to pay your zakat, you want to pay to this dedicated account so that we can sustain something like that. You can start to reach some organization that you know your members are decision makers there. I say, how are you doing your CSR? Our CSR, every year we support 100 communities to drink more water. Out of that 100, we want 50 from our project. That is sustainability plan. So you can collaborate with the private sector to look at how they are implementing their CSR program, because it's a legal issue, it is a consumer issue. So CSR, nobody monitors it in this country. So people do it at will, and we think they are doing us a favor. No company is doing favor when they are doing CSR. It is part of their responsibility.
Yes, we want to thank God for that. In Asarudin, you can also do more. Asarudin Abuja is like the heartbeat of Asarudin worldwide. Are you aware? Most of the programs Asarudin National is doing today that are important are actually from Asarudin Abuja, which by the special grace of Allah is targeted. So, I can say with pride that I can mention 3-4 programs that Asarudin National is doing, that they are my personal programs that I used when I was in Asarudin. I'll let you think about that. You know? Okay. He has answered number 1. Number 2, somebody was between Anubia and Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. And you asked that question, that this thing we are doing supposed to be by the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs. The person who asked the question, I think that is what you mean. I think that is what you mean. Am I correct?
That is collaboration.
In Nigeria, there is an association of Zakat and Waqf operators of Nigeria that are doing excellently well. Last week, we met the Minister of
Education.
You can see everybody does. We met the Minister of Education to see how we can collaborate on Waqf and Zakat in Nigeria. And you raised something, I want to 2 questions together. We did not go to the government as a thing. We actually went to them what Zakat and Waqf would do to help Nigeria, especially from the educational sector. That's why we want to start. Just last week, they set up the kind of interfaith committee between ASA1 and Ministry of Education. They are also a part of the meeting of the committee that was set up to look into what are we going to do together that the government will benefit from Zakat and Waqf, and the community also will benefit from the government. The committee has just been set up last week. We are intending to have our first meeting probably next week, and that is what we are doing with that. I don't know whether I've answered you. Then somebody mentioned charter between Christian and Muslim that we need to have a kind of charter, the charter of Nigeria. Is it Nigeria? No, we don't. We have gotten NIREC already. Nigeria Interreligious Council is the one working, bringing the Muslim and Christian together. They do things most of the time together. Now, so they do not only have the constitution, they have the structure that follows, monitors, and sustains the relationship. Although we need more than that in Nigeria, we need a department of government that will be able to do things that will make it work. What we have started. And my sister, our neighbor here, she mentioned they used to hear of Zakat. In Islam, there are about 5 to 7 tools in giving. The first one that everybody knows is Zakat. You pay 2.5% of your earning that you earn within 1 year after you deduct what you earn for 8 categories of people. Quran chapter 9 verse 60 explain the 8 categories of people that are entitled to get from that. You don't use that one to build houses, or you use that one to develop personality, human personality, human capital. You use that as the zakat. But sadaqah, it is just ordinary charity. You can do it at any time, at will, with anything. But we have one that is more than that. Even our Muslim scholars, they don't know much about it. We call it waqf, endowment. Waqf, you can write it W-A-Q-F. Waqf, we call it endowment. We are the owner of the endowment. When I say we, I mean Islam. Even our Muslim scholars, most of them, they can't differentiate it. That's what we call sadaqatu jariyah. Is the one that most Muslims knows, but they do not know much about waqf. Not all sadaqatu jariyah are waqf, but all waqf are sadaqatu jariyah. Let me explain. So the time I'm explaining is just for the Muslim scholar, they understand this terminology. But there's what we call sadaqatu jariyah, which is a recurring charity that when you do it, the reward will be for you both in this life and in the hereafter. That is the only one most Muslim scholars know. But waqf, they do not understand the concept of waqf very well. Even Dr. Lukman, I don't think he knows much about waqf.
Very sure. So it's a new technical thing. It's not new. It has been done for more than 1,400 years. Incidentally, AL-HABIBIYYAH has established a functioning WACF system. So if you want to know more, that block, when you enter, the first door you go, the fact it is WACF house. We are going to put disciples there anytime from now. So you can come in to ask more questions. This WACF, it is actually the basis of philanthropy in Islam. They started, somebody came to our prophet around 603 AD. 603, that's about early 7th century. And he said, I have money, my prophet, I just bought the land. What can I do with the land? That's what the prophet told him, why don't you make it a WACF? He said, what is WACF? Now told him, WACF is something you give, it is your own, you hand over the ownership to God. So how do I do that? That if you manage, you are giving it to God, it means they will be investing it, they will be using it. All the things that are flowing from that will be using it to help people. And it will not be a one-off thing. It will not be a one-off gift. It will be there for life. That thing I told you that day, up to today, is still working. When you go to Medina, it's still working up to today. So, and that is the one that AL-HABIBIYYAH, you can see this one because AL-HABIBIYYAH WACF Foundation. It is the one now that, by God's grace, we are starting in searching with a new vigor, with a new interest. Incidentally, the way we are doing it is not just for Islam. Anybody, whether like you said, you want to come, you want to know, this thing we need to do it. We should go and read the Nigerian Charter. We should go and read the Medina Charter. You will know that Islam and Christianity has been co-traveler, co-partner since 2nd and 4th century. Those who know, many of us do not know the history of the Mediterranean in southern parts of Saudi Arabia. Mediterranean was 100% Christian city before the Prophet Muhammad was born. The only problem the Christians had in that place was that the Jews were the one destroying them. Until when the Prophet came and he has to warn the Jews that you cannot stop the spread of Christianity. So they came to meet the Prophet in Medina around 609 AD, and they worked together. And the Prophet allowed the Christians to do their preaching inside the mosque. So those people, they came from a place called Mediterranean. So these are simple stories that most of us don't know. And that is why when we open this place, it will be open not just to most people, anybody. In law, that's what they call habeas corpus. I don't know who knows those. What is it? What is habeas corpus? Can you remember what is habeas corpus? Okay, let me help you. I'm not a lawyer. Habeas corpus does to produce the body. Like in court, they call it habeas corpus. That the person having the case must be produced in court. So what we have there is habeas corpus. What we want to do is that be available. Ask your question. What do you need? We'll be there for you. Thank you so much.